Hey everyone, Darcy here. I've always loved myself a van, right? Especially an electric van. So today we have the Citroen e-Berlingo. Probably one of the better van out there in its class. But does it make it a good commercial van? So let's hang on and find out, right? So for context, the way a city driver will use his van is very different from someone who isn't using their van exclusively for the city, right? With this out of the way, the review here is focused on how well the e-Berlingo fares in city driving, right? Because I think there's a lot of reviews online, and most of them do not feature or review this vehicle as something that is used solely in the city. But at least for Singapore, then you're going to use this van mainly in the city. Right, so let's jump straight to 5 things I like about the vehicle, right? The the front cabin space is great, right? If you've used other vans before, you realize that the front cabin space can tend to be a bit cramped. But because this is an EV, there's really much more space up front, right? The next thing is the drivetrain. If you've driven diesel vans or even petrol vans, right? The EV drivetrain is just more responsive, more powerful, and way smoother, right? And it really helps when you are backing up into tight spaces in the city, right? Sometimes when you're on a normal transmission van, you get a lot of the clutch biting into the gear, right? And that gives you like a very jerky feeling or like a delayed response before your vehicle can reverse. But with an EV drivetrain, then it's totally smooth, right? So that's fantastic. So the charging speed for this vehicle is rated up to 100 kilowatts. That's fantastic. There's a lot of other Chinese vans out there. Some of them only charge at AC rates, right? And that is a serious no-go, right? So great that the e-Berlingo is doing 100 kilowatts. Now it has a dual side door, perfect for city usage. So there's a 5-door design, and of course rear view reverse camera. In today's age, especially if you're driving a van, I cannot stress just how important the reverse cameras are. So we go on to the 5 things that I dislike about the vehicle. So I think in order to save cost, most of the parts of this van is coming from the petrol counterparts, right? Or the ICE counterparts. So the design is quite dated, the infotainment and the overall steering wheel, the key ignition, everything is coming from the ICE vehicle, right? So you have to there's a key for you to insert and turn to start the engine, right? But there's really nothing much for you to start. And on the infotainment, you only get USB-A, right? This is 2023, and by now, I really hope that a vehicle would come with USB-C, right? So at least in the version that I was reviewing, there were no safety features. Okay, so there's no blind spot monitoring, there's no cameras on the side, and I feel like for commercial vehicles, right, for somebody who's on the road so often, this is one of those things where you should have, right? I think it's something that should be there, and it shouldn't be not available. So that's something that I feel like it's a miss. But I mean, most other vans out there, not all of them come with these safety features anyhow. So because this is a Citroen, you get the French water bottle cup holder, right? So basically it's not usable, okay? And one more thing, right? So van drivers, you often take breaks in the vehicle, right? However, for this vehicle, if you try to idle, right, it's an EV, the vehicle, and leave your air conditioning on, after 5 minutes, the vehicle shuts off, right? It goes into the auxiliary battery, right? The 12-volt battery that's in the vehicle, which means the air conditioning goes off. And I don't see a reason why they had to do that, right? It's an EV, and as a van driver, the one thing I really want to do is to chill in my vehicle, right? I really just want to chill in my vehicle, have my lunch, take a break, take a nap. And there's no emissions when I'm resting. So I hope something can be done about this. I hope it's something that I made a mistake, but I definitely clarified with the team. How long does the vehicle go into this eco mode? And it said, and they told me 5 minutes, right? And I'm baffled. I do not understand why there is this 5 minutes. And the last thing is the dashboard has a lot of reflection in the day. Uh, I have no idea why, right? But in the day, if you're driving noon, afternoon, and when the sun is just up there in the sky, you can't see your dashboard, you can't see your speedo, you can't see what's happening on the dashboard. And to me, that was one of those things that was most frustrating for me. Yeah, anyway, so there's 5 things that I dislike about the vehicle. So let's just move to the design and exterior and the design of the vehicle, right? The exterior and the interior. It's a van, right? So let's just have a tour of the vehicle. There's really nothing much, too much to talk about. It's not ugly. It's a moving cube, and I think that's fantastic, right? I like that the wheel arches gives you ample room for you to slide the larger items into the vehicle. Now, when it comes to loading capacity, it's rated for up to 750 kilogram, and it's about 750 kilogram if I'm not wrong, right? 750 kilogram and 1.17 meter load height. Yes, I think I'll relook at this and put the numbers in the description below. Sorry. So but one more thing, right? So if you're using this for Singapore, right, just take note that you have this vehicle is a no-go for car parks at 1.8 meters high, right? So I almost went into a car park, and I was staring at the multi-story car park, the poles, right? And I figured like there's no way I'm going to make it. Yeah, so you need a minimum of 1.9 meter clearance. So just take note for those of you who live in estates that are using multi-story car parks. Okay, so we move on to the drive and experience, right? I like the drive and the experience, right? It's great. The drive is smooth. It beats any other regular petrol and diesel vans, any ICE vans out there. Hands down, no one's going to compare. And electric van is definitely way ahead of everyone, right? In terms of reliability, it's a Citroen, and because it's an EV, it has much fewer parts than any of its ICE counterparts. So less parts, hopefully it doesn't break down, right? Less parts means less oil changes and routine maintenance. So for a vehicle that's going to have high mileage, this is good news for you, right? You're going to save money and time having to service the vehicle. Now, infotainment comes with Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. It doesn't cast the rear view cameras to the screen. It's a huge wasted opportunity to me. And USB-A is really a bummer because it's 2023, right? Now, I couldn't test Apple CarPlay and Android Auto because I didn't have a USB-A cable with me, and I didn't have my adapter. So that was... I should have had a USB-A cable in hindsight. But anyhow, I like the regen braking. The regen braking, good news, is done very well on this vehicle. So once you select B in your drive mode, it will go into the normal EV-like regen braking, right? If not, this vehicle is a regular drive. You use your brake pedals to slow the vehicle down, but it will still be regen braking. I still feel this is one of those things where it should be by default in the EV regen, but fine, it's a transition vehicle. I can understand, and that's fine. Just take note that the B setting resets every time you when you restart the vehicle, right? So if you like to drive in the EV regen mode, just take note that you've got to do it every time you start the vehicle. Now we move on to range and charging. So this is one of the areas where I feel it may fall a little bit short, which is why maybe it's better to get a bigger cousin, but here's the real world range, okay? Real world range, you're looking at 230 to 250 kilometers on a 100% charge, okay? As this vehicle is running lithium-ion battery, it won't be wise to charge to 100%. Neither is it recommended, right? So having said this, most van drivers will be charging this maybe 20 to 80%. And that's also the percentage range where you are able to get the fastest available speeds, right? Anything more than 80%, you're going to spend way more time waiting at the charger and putting in just a small percentage of charging. And that's because charging rates are lowered as the battery capacity is filled up. This is normal throughout all vehicles, right? The advertised 0 to 80% charging is in 30 minutes. It means you can get in about 184 kilometers of usable range without load. Now, based on 100 km of driving per work day, this means that you're probably going to have to charge your vehicle every other day. So this is something to take note, right? If you have destination charging, or if you have charging at home, this works, right? So at your office or at somewhere where you always load and unload, and you have charging there, that's fantastic. But if you don't have access to this charging infrastructure, then just be aware that high chance you will have to charge this vehicle every 1-2 days. Now we come to the price. As always, I think motor vehicle prices in Singapore is expensive. So the vehicle is priced at $75,000. With COE, this car will cost you $165K before any rebates. I believe there should be a $20K rebate, of which I'm still pending clarification from the dealership. So I will put the updated information in the description. In comparison, NV200 from an authorized dealer will be is priced at about $133,000 today. Now this makes the depreciation on this vehicle at about $17,000 a year before any rebates, right? So this is the price of the vehicle. I wish that it could be priced more aggressively, but it isn't, and this is what it is. So yeah, so this is the price of the vehicle. So let's move to the summary of the van, right? The e-Berlingo. Pricing aside, right? I like the vehicle, right? The Berlingo is a fantastic EV. I've always held back from getting an ICE van, mainly because of the maintenance and also because it's burning diesel, right? The fact that I have an EV is brilliant, right? It's always fun to hop on your EV, put in some cool stuff at the back, and go for camping or just sit around and like chill with friends, right? Yes. Having said this, right? I really hope the Citroen e-Berlingo, can you guys please solve that eco situation where the vehicle goes into standby mode when it's idling, or when you want to chill in the van? I think that's just not fun. But anyway, the e-Berlingo gets the job done. It one-ups every single ICE counterpart in terms of drive, comfort, space, and reliability. Hopefully, okay, reliability with an asterisk, because I've only got to test this vehicle for a day or two. There's no way I can decide how reliable this vehicle is. Now, the question you have to ask yourself is this, right? If you're thinking of buying this van, okay, do you deliver as a job or business? Do you deliver as a job or business, or are you like a small business owner who needs to haul goods around for clients every once in a while? Now, personally, I feel if you're driving less than 60 kilometers a day, this van will be fine. If you drive anything more than that and do not have home charging or destination charging, which is charging at your office, you will end up spending precious time each day charging your vehicle and waiting for a charging spot to open up. So, as a commercial vehicle, right, especially like I said, if you're doing this for your business or a job, right, and you need your vehicle to be reliably on the move whenever you want it to, right? Charging infrastructure is key. So please, if you're going to consider this vehicle, consider the availability of chargers around you before buying this vehicle. Given a choice, I will shortlist this Berlingo if you're comparing to any other options. But if you have the space, if you have the cash, and if you don't mind driving a larger van, I think the Citroen Dispatch might be a better vehicle. It might be a better van. So just for the range alone, right? I really believe that any van should come with a bare minimum of 300 kilometers of usable range. That should be the bare minimum. Actually, any EV should have 300 kilometers of usable range as like minimum, especially if you live in a city and you do not have home charging. So with that, that'll be the end of this review. It should be a fast one. I hope you found it useful, and yeah, we'll see you in the next one.